Hello, everybody. Dave Stevens joining you again for the Geary, Stein and Stevens Show, and we have got a great show today. I've got my Minnesota jersey on today, Troy, for a little bit of that flavor because our guest today is a legend, and I'm excited to have him on. Are you?
Yeah, as growing up in Minnesota, I watched this guy play throughout my young childhood and teenage years, and I'm excited to talk to him today.
Yeah, and the guy we're talking about is Joey Browner. Joey Browner played for the Vikings for quite a long time. And again, his resume is unbelievable. 3-time first team All Pro, second team All Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, all decade team in the 80s for the NFL, 50 greatest Vikings, Ring of Honor, anniversary team, Mall of America. Um, I'm trying to think. Let's see. Did I leave anything out? I mean, the guy was one of the best to ever play the game, and he's joining us today. The legend Joey Browner. Hey, Joey, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And it's great to have you. And again, it's a sore subject, but again, I'm sitting here just baffled because of what you did on the field and the amazing things you did off the field. But you still haven't gotten that call to Canton. And I know you put up the numbers that you had, and you can't control old time beat writers, the Royces, the Sids, those guys. But man, you deserve to be there as much as anybody else.
Well, thank you for saying that. But like you say, it's not. It hasn't been my calling, and for me, they can't erase history. So the history is there. It's just a matter of matching it with what they call the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and if they can put you in all those other things, eventually you're going to get there. I hope it's in my lifetime, but
No, you're mine too. I just, but the game is what it is, and for me, the rules and different things that have been established now, without me playing in that during that era, to now of how I played, changes would not have been made.
and you made some major plays in your life. I'm pulling up one of the first ones here. If you do you remember this play with Gerald Wilhite, because it was a great tackle, and it also really was one of those things that they kept playing over and over and over and over. Do you have any memories of that play?
Yes, because he had 47 on, and his name was Gerald, and my baby brother's name was Gerald, and so it was on AstroTurf, and that's what we played on back then, and for me, I dove for this. This is a horse collar tackle that I made, and that's illegal now, so you can't jump after anybody and try to pull them down like that anymore without being penalized. So you can't use your hands anymore. So um, it's a big change. But I hope that Gerald is healed from that, and they're giving him something for game related injury that ended his career.
You played with a lot of great Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers during your time at USC. Can you talk about playing with like guys like Marcus Allen, Ronnie Lott, Anthony Munoz, and how much fun was that during college?
Bruce Matthews in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's amazing that when you're young and you're starting out your career as a collegiate scholarship athlete, you don't you just uh, hope to just get out there and make something of yourself in college and complete those 4 years. Uh, After I graduated, they were able to uh, have those hardship years that you can go into the draft without your graduating class graduating before you were able to be put into the draft. So when I came through, it was where you had to be there for 4 years, even though if you did not play the 4 years, you still had to sit there those 4 years until your graduating class graduated before you were even put into the draft. So they made it where you had to go to school uh, and finish or complete what educational component that you were in at that time in order to be eligible for the draft to go into the NFL.
Well, Joey, I mean, those players that were a part of that, and we'll take another look at the graphic. I mean, we're talking about Ronnie Lott, Marcus Allen, Anthony Munoz, Charles White, even Jeff Fisher. He turned out to be not too bad as a coach, but did that help you in jumping into the NFL? Because you were basically on a professional football team, because in those days, USC, they were the team you wanted to play for and be on, and you had every person in your position that could have gone anywhere and been a starter.
Oh, yes. And then we had the Raiders there that John Robinson started off coaching with the Raiders, with John Madden, Flores, and those gentlemen that were coaches at that time. And so we had a plethora of coaching that was NFL plays that we had to learn. And then also we were on television a number of times, which was rare back then, because NFL teams, if they didn't sell out their tickets, they were blacked out.
Yeah.
So we were in a fortunate situation. I was that we were there with the proper coaching, the proper media platform that we were producing quality games that each year at least we played on national television, which was millions of people watching or viewing at that time, that we didn't have ESPN or HBO or anything like that. That was an extra programming, sports programming, that they have now.
Your family has more players in the NFL than any other family, including the Matthews, your brother Ross, Jimmy, Keith, and even your nephew Mac Starks. How, growing up with your brothers, how did that competitive fire help you in your career, and playing against them growing up?
The older two that you mentioned, never got a chance to play against them or anything. The only thing we had a chance to do was see them or hear them on the radio. So we didn't get a chance to. But my brother Keith, I played against him on the side of the house, rough and tumble and different things like that. And then my brother Waller was the quarterback, so he handed the ball off to us or threw the ball to us. And then my brother Gerald, who had passed away like 15 years ago, he was 150 pounds when we were little kids. So we were tackling someone on the side of the house and playing with them that was the size of the running backs that had to compete against in competition by the time we reached high school. So it was always a competition, or just having fun. Back then it was fun, and then it was part of our educational component when we were in Warren, that through PE we had to do all these different sports. And so it was ping pong, badminton, croquet, checkers, chess, all these different activities that gave us plethora of gaming opportunities to compete in a intellectual games that we competed against each other in around the house. And my mother also came out there, and she struck us out and then took the bat from us. And that's why I didn't pitch, because she kept on hitting the ball, and I gave up on pitching because she kept hitting the ball. And she was the one who inspired me to play football, because she chose my number and my position when I went from high school to college with John Robinson. She called him up and asked him what position could I play the quickest for him, and he needed help in, and he said defensive back. So that's why I ended up being a defensive back.
Well, thanks, Mom. We appreciate that, Mom. And, I was just curious in those early days in Minnesota, especially as we talked earlier about your Hall of Fame. I mean, do you think that if you'd have had your career in, let's say, New York or Los Angeles or a bigger market, that you would have had more national exposure and people would know? I mean, everyone knew, your peers knew who you were, but, do you think that might have played a part in the legacy of Joey Browner?
No. It just comes down to them wanting you there and them not wanting you there. So it just came down. It just come down to um, when the right time for me to be there.
Well, we are glad you're there, and stay with us. We're going to come back right after this break and give you a little more insight in Joey's career. Troy has a question, and we'll bring Will in. So stay tuned, because guess what? You're watching Geary, Stein, and Stevens, and we are debuting the new Manscaped ad, so don't go away. Hi again, everybody. Dave Stevens here for Manscaped. And a year ago, right at this very location, I made an utter mistake. And because I was so sweaty and disgusting down here, that bee that I sat on didn't really appreciate that. But now I've got Manscaped. And right now, Manscaped is offering the Performance Package 4.0. It's arrived, and oh man, it's a game changer. Inside this package, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear, nose, and hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all the goodies. And of course, September closes out our Smooth Sack Summer and our end of summer mail. So don't get stung by the competition. Use the Manscaped products and your significant other might not behave, and they'll be the one calling you honey. Don't forget to use the code GSS Show for 20% off your udder. Want 20% off the world's softest, comfiest, best-fitting men's clothes? Well, Fresh Clean Threads has your back and your front and your sides with everything from tees, tanks, and Henleys to pullovers, polos, and hoodies. Get designer-based quality products without paying ridiculous prices. Everyone deserves to look good and feel good. Confidence shouldn't cost a fortune. Go to freshcleanthreads.com. Use a special code GSS Show for 20% off. Your order and your perfect fit awaits. All right, Troy. Well, let's bring in back Joey Browner for the next part of our show. And hey, we've got Will Stein joining us for a little bit. Hello, Will. How are you? And say hi to Joey. What's your question for Joey?
Hold on, I can't hear you, Will.
Oh,
We got you
now
there.
There we
I'm
go.
muted. All right. Thanks. It's good to be on. Joey, how are you doing? I saw the fresh, clean tee, so I had to rock mine today too. So how does Lewis Seen remind you of a young Joey Browner? How do you think he fits into this Vikings defense?
Oh, I couldn't answer that question for you because I don't watch him. I'm not for sure how he plays or how they play their defense right now. But in terms of if he's going to play, special teams is where I really started to see where I could fit in is how you play the special teams. That Bud Grant said is how you're going to play the game. And so if he gets out there on special teams and start making a lot of plays on special teams, I ran as a gunner for the punter, and that was how Bud Grant measured how I was going to play in a game. So I'm not for sure how he would fit in, but he's got to make his own way.
Cool. And what was your favorite? How was it like playing for Jerry Burns? And what did you like about his personality?
Well, Jerry Burns was a old coach that coached for the team when they had their runs for championships and was in the Super Bowl. And so he was a no nonsense person. He didn't interfere with his coaching staff. He just led them to in the games, and the preparation was left to the coaches and the players to get to where we were ready to play in the games. And he was my second coach that I was all pro for, and he gave me an opportunity to play with him that Coach Peterson was a defensive coordinator at the time, we came out with the Bear defense or the Star Wars or these cover Tampa twos or what the coverage is and the defensive fronts all are right now. We were experimenting with them here with the team and was able to establish after the Purple People Eaters, the Viking defense during those times that was in the Metrodome when the Metrodome first opened in '82 till '92 when I finished playing with the Vikings. We were able to establish where now they have uh, the defenses that they're calling out there right now was experimental for us.
And I'd have to say, Coach Burns probably had every single dirty word in his vocabulary because it was always tough to get a good soundbite out of him because he was like, I mean, that must have kept you guys laughing and rolling in the locker rooms.
Well, we took him serious because those words are just words that are used when you're a man and you have men out there leading them into what they call a confrontation or a play situation, and those words were used all the time out there on the field. So it was common language, but right now they consider them words that should not be spoken.
And before Troy jumps in, we're looking at the graphic. How much did being in that Ring of Honor mean to you for everything that you went through and the perseverance and almost getting to Super Bowls and not getting there and everything that went along with it?
Well, it meant that I did something right. And my peers at the time, they were the ones that voted me into to play for them in the Pro Bowl over in Hawaii. They were the ones, the offensive players of the NFC, voted me over to represent them in that All-Star game. So it's just a culmination of the opportunity to be on the field, then my peers voting for me to be their representative as an All-Star, and then in the end, life is good.
You were a part of one of the greatest draft classes in 1983 with Jim Kelly, John Elway, Dan Marino, and you were drafted 19th overall. What was your expectation going into the draft, and did you know the Vikings were interested in you prior?
My expectation going into the draft was that I wasn't going to get drafted because my brother Willard did not get drafted coming out of college. So he was drafted by the White Sox to pitch. For me, I was just ecstatic that I went through Southern Cal for 4 years and was able to graduate from Southern Cal, but I wasn't expecting to get drafted at all because of my brother Ross was drafted number 1 by the Bengals, and then my brother Jimmy was drafted in the 12th round by the Bengals, and then my brother Waller didn't get drafted at all. So for me, I was glad to finish 4 years at Southern Cal, and then looking forward to what was going to happen. And at that time, the USFL was establishing where they were going to start their season the following year. So I was already in that regional or local draft. So, but I wasn't expecting to get drafted at all.
So what was your favorite Sid Hartman story, and what kind of relationship did you have personally with Sid Hartman?
Well, Sid Hartman didn't really have a personal relationship with him. He was always aloof. He let you know that he was the one that was a sports writer in this area. That if he didn't write something positive about you, you didn't get any ink in the paper. And he was the editor of the sporting department for the Tribune. So didn't really have a relationship with him, but I had a relationship with him where when you did something right and he needed to write it in his editorial, He'd talk to you, but if you didn't do anything, he didn't talk to you.
Joey, was it wild to be in that Minnesota scene with so much going on with Prince and everything and the Twins? I mean, it was such an amazing era to be in Minnesota for sports. The Gophers were good. The Vikings were good. The Twins got to 2 World Series and won. So, do you have some amazing memories you could just share with us real quick about your time in Minnesota away from the football field?
Oh, yeah. When the Twins won their division for the first time, I had the opportunity and was blessed to greet them at home plate when they drove in on the buses when they won, and I was able to be there to greet them because it was great to be a part of that magic that happened during that time. To see Kirby Puckett, to see all these individuals who were able to put it together and win the World Series, and then be at the home plate for them to greet them when they got off the buses when they came back. That was a special moment. And then with Prince being able to sit there and be there in that magical time when music was pure, and it wasn't simple because it had to be played by the DJ in order for it to be heard at all, and we were able to have where this magic, or that his legacy started over there at First Avenue, and then Glam Slam around the corner, and then the Purple Rain, and all those different things that happened here, and then Janet Jackson coming into town, and establishing herself, the time, and all those different the sounds of blackness. So we for me, it was a time when what is happening in musical history, sports history, and then history uh, made me feel alive. And then going to college and learning about all the different things that have changed since going to college that you just read in the books, and then now to live them. I'm just thankful that I was chosen to come to Minnesota and be a part of Minnesota history.
Speaking of Minnesota, can you give us one of your fondest memories of the late Chris Doleman, who was a teammate majority of your career?
Well, my fondest memory of Chris was when he was standing up as a linebacker, and then all of a sudden he was down in the 3-point stance, and he said, "Oh, what am I going to do?" I said, "Go get some sacks." And he went out there and established the number that was 22, I believe it is at the time, and we were in the huddle uh, when he was chasing that number, and he was tired, he was dog tired, and we looked at each other and said, what number is it that now? And we figured out what number it was and said, let's go get it, and we all participated in it with Chris being the focal point. And then when my mother passed, he was the first one that one of the first ones to come up to me and said, I wouldn't have did that. I would have grieved for my mother and not come out here and play, but I'm doing it for you, and you're the part of my family. And so with Chris, it was a very special. He's a very special memory, and I was glad that I was a part of his life and the legacy that he left. And I'm glad that he was able to get into the Hall of Fame while he was still alive.
And I've got a new friend of ours that just joined. This is Reggie, and he eats crickets, but he was wondering, Joey, if you remember some of your favorite places to eat in Minnesota. Was it the old place where it was like in the 40s downtown, or where did you like to eat or hang out in those days?
Well, we had established Kikigawa was one of the restaurants that I really ate at, and Ichiban was across the street from the Hyatt. I would for 8 straight years I would get my game meal the night before going and play. I would go there and get the sushi that was there. They would always have it ready for me to participate there. But right now you have me where the OLD is messing with me. So I remember the name. I remember the name of it, but I can taste it on my lips, but I just can't. The spirit won't let me tell them where it is because it was always a special place for the families to meet after we were finished at the Metrodome to meet there. Oh golly. All I remember is one. What? Oh, geez.
That's all right.
Yeah, I'm thinking Don Tana's, but that's in Los Angeles, in the Palm. But here in Minnesota, I know it's down the street from where the Twin Stadium is, and all I can do is I can see the name of it, but I won't. Damn.
Well, that's all right. Will, I know you got to go. You want to say bye to Joey real quick before you head out?
Hey, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. Hopefully, I'll see you at a game at US Bank Stadium. And thank you for taking your time to talk to all three of us this afternoon.
Well, this is the easy part, Just thank you for being the fan that you are, because without the fan, it would be no game.
That's true. Well, thanks, Will. We're going to be right back. We got to pay some more bills. We'll end up with Joey, find out what he's doing now and what his charity and foundation is doing. So you're watching Geary, Stein, and Stevens as Will heads out. Stay with us.
This is Pete Davidson from Manscaped. Surprise your girlfriend. Let's show them how hairless we could be, boys. Presentation matters. Don't make me get specific, because I will. Shave your dick. Shave it, baby.
I got a hot date.
I've been using this guy long enough to where I think it's time we went into business together. Meet the new face, among other parts, of Manscaped.
Fresh Clean Tees was a shirt company. Over the years, you've asked us for more. We've listened. And now we're entering a new era with a new name. It's time for us to officially be the brand you've helped us grow into. We believe in our basics, from the first thread to the final stitch. We always have, we always will. The only thing that's truly changing is our sense of adventure. We're expanding our lineup by developing new, exciting products that largely come from customer requests. Customers like you are a huge part of who we are and how we got here. So we're still going to make fresh tees, but we're also going to make a lot of new threads inspired by you. In short, we just want to make clothes that you want to wear. So we're an apparel brand now. Let us reintroduce ourselves. We are Fresh, Clean Threads.
All right, and thank you, Fresh Clean Threads, for being a part of what we do. And all of us, we of course have a support for the Geary, Stein and Stevens Show by Manscaped. These products, I know we talk about them a lot, but this thing, I'm using it. It works so well. The light is great because, again, I got to keep my beard nice and trim. And Joey, you might want to. I'm not recognizing you with that big old kind of like Grizzly Adams type thing, but. I'm telling you, with the light and everything and the Manscaped products that they've got and this stuff that smells so good on any part that you decide to use it on if you do go lower, but I like to put it on my face. Troy, where do you use your Manscaped products mostly? Troy?
That's what I have on my face. It's a mirror reflection of what I am.
When did you start growing that? How long was it pre-COVID, or have you been doing it before that?
I think it was pre-COVID. There's been a couple years that I've been enlightened with being able to go on a sabbaticin and go on vision quests, as they call it, and be able to walk with them, talk with them, and be with them all at one time now. And so it's a reflection of what is on the cross, and what I am as a human being human, and so that's why I have what I have, is because of being walking with the Creator.
And as we again take a look at some of the amazing plays for our viewers are seeing the video. For the listeners at home, you just have to realize that Joey made a lot of tackles, 37 career interceptions, and we don't even talk about the cool thing that the little records that you have that people don't realize, of course, would be the things that you did in the Pro Bowl. You were in the Pro Bowl a lot, and you also had, I believe, 3 Pro Bowl touchdowns back in the day.
Well, I'm not for sure because it just went by so quickly. But yes, I had a number of I think it was one, and then I had a lot of I had an interception, and then I had a couple fumble recoveries in that game, and so the opportunity to be there with the best players of modern era at that time to participate in that game in Hawaii is just one of those memorable times for me, because I was voted there by my peers who were the offensive players of the NFC at that time.
And it's great to see you smile, because I know you were so serious as a player. It was you were all business, not a lot of smiles unless it was a teammate or somebody that did something. But is life different for you? Did life change after football, as far as how you took things seriously or started to enjoy life after football?
Well, I enjoyed life during it, after it, and right now. But the part of it that was the hardest was not being able to participate in it for some reason. I wasn't able to get back into the platform that was created at that time. So I just took it as me being an Oscar-winning actor for being All Pro or number one in my position, and no more opportunities to get out there to win another Oscar or participate in the game. So I went into who I am as an individual and became put my foundation together, the Joey Browner Foundation, and then become a chief of my own tribe or tribal nation that I put together with the Indian Health Board that's here in Minnesota, and then going through their culturally based healing and governmental components that I went to college for, and put together my own compact that they have here for casinos to put their casinos together. I went through that, and then the governmental components that all go with healthcare, housing, energy, all of those different components that deal with being a tribal nation within this nation. I've been able to establish that.
You talked about your foundation. When did you start that? And like I said, I know you were talking about kind of some of the stuff it does, but can you explain to the people listening and the viewers what kind of stuff you do to help people with that?
I've had it since let's say 2010. I've had it put together. It's where the foundation is where I was getting funding from the NFL to go out to tribal communities and put the indigenous games together for them, where they have their own Olympic Games in 1995. I started with them putting it together to where they have their own Olympic Games, and we had 8,000 participants in that, and we were able to showcase Jim Thorpe. He's a Native American who's Lakota, and Billy Mills was a part of it, and we all put together where they had all the Olympic events, to where we could have established and flew our own flag for Olympic athletes that were indigenous or Native American to participate in the Olympics. Uh, Also, what I do with my foundation is go into Native communities with Johns Hopkins University and the NFL outreach or legacy funds or whatever they have them that established where we go out into the communities or on reservations to inspire young people who are native to be native, to go through the healthcare, go through the culturally based uh, initiatives that they have on their reservations, that they are native, and be proud of it, and go and get your uh, uh, education, and bring that lexicon, which is the language, back to where they have it in their languages and taught to their children's children, to where they can understand where their forefathers and mothers all sacrificed treaties and all of these other agreements to where uh, the colonies could come here and learn from us how to have spirituality, how we took care of ourselves, and how we were walking with one with creation in order for creation to be here 7 generations after we're gone. Uh, that's what I do with my foundation is establish that in communities such as here in Minnesota, we have a number of tribes that been working with for over 40 years since I've been here, and then establish my own uh, nation through my foundation.
Well, Joey, it's one of those things where I don't think anybody even associates you with the Tampa Bucks. You were always a Viking, and kind of like Johnny Unitas and Joe Namath, and then there was that one year at Tampa. Take us through what that was like to leave the Vikings and go down to the Bucks. What was that a part of your life? What was that like?
Like I was worth nothing. It was where when I was released from the Vikings, uh, and then I ended up with Tampa Bay. It was a blessing, but when I was released from the Vikings, and they couldn't get nothing for me, that was a slap in the reality that you can be number one, but when it comes to the end, when you see what your really value of yourself is in this platform or with the production of what is called NFL football, and you're cut, and nobody they didn't get a draft choice or anything for me. Uh, that was a slap in the face. But then the blessing to be able to go to Tampa Bay and go down there and be with Floyd Peters and the coaching staff that they coached me for a number of years, like 6 years, and then get a chance to just be able to get back on the field at a team that drafted my brother. The Tampa Bay drafted my brother Keith as a number one pick in '84, but he's the 30th player picked at that time. Um, to be able to get back on the field and get 8 games of film of me being down there and then released, and then not being able to go anywhere else. It was a blessing that I even in '92 was able to finish my career in a place that drafted my brother.
Oh, that's awesome. But the Vikings weren't known for making great choices in those days. And my last question to you is, do you remember the Herschel Walker trade and the impact that it made on the Vikings and the Dallas Cowboys?
Oh yes, it showed that it showed that when we wanted to make draft choice, make a move to get a player, we had the ways and means of getting him. And then also with that Herschel Walker trade, it showed that uh, Donald Trump was the one who negotiated the contract between the Dallas Cowboys and the Minnesota Vikings for Herschel to come here. And then for me to have Herschel come here, Herschel played with my brother Gerald in Georgia, the University of Georgia. So it was one of those, thank God it showed that uh, uh, Herschel was worth that kind of uh, chattel or players, and then also money. And then we also when we did that deal, they brought in Mike Merriweather also at the same time in a trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it showed that we can make those moves and then also get players that was able to establish where uh, players were traded to where they can continue their careers through the trade, and then also the USFL, how we were using the USFL to get players, or but Herschel had went to Dallas and then to us uh, to make those moves and show that they had the ways and means of doing it.
And Anthony Carter wasn't a bad USFL receiver, was he? Right?
No, and then we got Gary Zimmerman, and then Keith Millard. All of them came from the USFL. And so I chose the NFL over the USFL, and those individuals were able to get traded for, or players uh, with money to be traded to the Vikings, or Vikings traded somewhere else to get other players to establish that there was a monetary supplement for each one of those players. And then here I chose the NFL over all that, and I was worth nothing.
After your career, you decided to make Minnesota home. What about this great state of Minnesota has made you decide to stay here after your career?
Well, it's a great state. I mean, it's where individuals can vote themselves into positions to where they can make decisions that affect the community, which was, being African American, as they brought up in '92 that they were African Americans uh, in America, uh, and then being able to go through the judicial system, or the system of governance, to be able to establish where they can vote themselves into positions and be able to hold them for a number of years. Uh, it's also where uh, the Canadian and the French and the and American Indians were able to establish their rendezvous, their trading post here, and take it from here all the way down to New Orleans, or Louise through to Louisiana, or through the Mississippi River, being international waters. And so Minnesota has a lot to offer the world and the global setting, because of where we are and what we were able to establish as a state and as a Indian or Native American constitutional place to be.
And Joey, I know I said I had one more question, but this just came to me as we were talking. And, I played college football at Augsburg University, which was literally 3 or 4 blocks where George Floyd was murdered.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, you were a part of that. And again, what you've been through and being so close to something that just changed the country. What was that like to go through a place where you're proud to live, yet at that time, it was a black eye for a state that really didn't deserve it?
Well, we're in a situation where um, we still don't have a species platform, or where we're considered human beings. That is up here, or when they say you wanted, or manhunt, or that type of thing, or dead or alive. Uh, it was a situation where things happened It happened, and it just showed that we still got a long ways to go here in this whole country or the area that we're in. But we are able to overcome those situations and show that uh, you're human beings and to make mistakes. And those mistakes, we had to correct them, and we have to correct them in a quick situation, and then also show our children that we can make uh, mistakes as adults. That we have to uh, take care of each other in a much better way than just treating ourselves as chattel or just expendable commodities in this society where we all have to live together.
Well, Joey, we really appreciate you coming on today. As a native Minnesota, I watched your career from the start when I was growing up, and I'm glad that you took the time today to join us. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Manscaped, Coca-Cola, Pro Stance, Fresh Clean Teas, FanDuel, and Dave, anything else?
No, it was just great to spend a little time with you, Joey. I know you're a busy man, and they can check you out at the foundation is joeybrownerfoundation.org.
Yes, sir.
All right. And what do you got on your plate the rest of the day?
Well, this was what the biggest part of the plate was being here at the table and being blessed to be here with you two and the
And I
other
didn't make you
participants.
sing a Christmas song like I used to do when I was at KSTP. You were always a trooper, right?
Oh my goodness! But I'll sing to my mother, and father for giving me the opportunity to be here in this space and being here in this time, and just I'm blessed to be a part of your podcast. So thank you so much.
All right. And just like that great movie, Something for Joey, I hope that Something for Joey comes his way in a couple years and you get that call to the NFL Hall of Fame. You really deserve it, brother. And I loved watching you play. You were just a hard-nosed guy. You deserve to be in a couple of Super Bowls as well. You came down, I think, on the goal line and against the Redskins. But,
Yeah.
That's for another show. So, Joey,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you and take care. Troy, for you, for Will Stein, this is Dave Stevens. Continue to follow us on all social media platforms. And again, thank you to all of our listeners and viewers with the Disability Channel, Ability Media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all of the podcasts, wherever you find it. I'm Dave Stevens. That's a wrap for now, but don't ever not listen to this podcast. We'll see you next time. Thanks again.